In this video, I'd like to show some additional layout editing improvements for Analog Office 2008. And so for this demo, I have just a couple devices in the schematic, a couple of NMOS and resistor, and I have them tied together. And these are using some components from our generic GenBake kit, which is a silicon-based kit. And so the first thing is just improvement to the coordinate entry dialog when routing. As we have a coordinate entry dialog that you can use just anytime you're doing any layout operation. So if I start to move this NMOS device around, I can hit the tab key and I can say I want to move -2 to the microns, so moving to the left and 2 microns up, and that'll move me by dxdy. Or when I hit tab, I can also uncheck the relative box and enter an exact coordinate, and that works when moving or stretching or creating rectangles or polygons or any operation. So now when we're routing, I'll right-click this net, choose Draw Route. As I start to route, I'll click and add a segment, and then I'll hit the tab key, and you can see we get kind of an expanded version of the same coordinate entry dialog. We can enter a dxdy, so I'll say 0 and up 3, up 4, and we can change the line type, and we can change the width. And so that enters a segment with that much additional length, up 3 microns on metal 2 with a new width. And so previously we were able to change the line type as we're routing. So right now I'm holding down the Control and Shift key and I'm rolling the mouse wheel, and that lets me roll through all the different line type options. But we didn't have a way to change the width in the middle of the route, so this coordinate entry dialog lets us do that. Second improvement, I'm going to delete this route and start a new one. We've made it a little bit simpler to finish off a route. Now to finish a route segment, you'll just double click and that finishes it. Or I can go back into routing mode and I'll finish over this device here. But some users had found it a little bit tricky to finish off the route. So occasionally, if you didn't get the double click quite right at the end, you'd end up with some extra points, some extra segments, or just wouldn't be finishing right. So we've made that a little bit easier. Now you can just move the mouse over wherever you want to finish the route and just hit the enter key, and that finishes it off. So it makes it a little simpler. You don't have to do quite as much, holding the mouse in the same place and double clicking. If you have the double click speed set real fast on your computer, that can be a little tricky. So it makes it a little easier to do. And the last feature is actually a couple of options that I'll show at the same time. That are available under the layout mode properties, under layout menu, layout mode properties. And this is a dialog with many options, most of which affect the viewing and view detail under different conditions. And these are really sets of options that can be swapped out easily. You can switch between these easily through a pull-down menu on the toolbar. But for this demo, we're just going to look down in the lower right-hand corner here and look at these two options. To start routes on the pin layer and start routes the same width as the pin. So I'm going to check both of these and click OK. So now we've got the default route we have set to be 1 micron wide on metal 3. And now all of these pins that are on these devices here are actually on metal 1, and you can see that easiest in the 3D view here. So the red stripe there is poly, and the blue connections are contact, the light blue is contact, and the darker blue is metal 1. And so now that we have those options checked, I'm going to start this route. And you can see that it says, the text next to the cursor there says that we're on metal 3. But I'm going to start the route, and you can see it switches to metal 1. Now as soon as I click to add a segment, now it switches me back to metal 3. And I'll come over here, and you can see I get an alignment point, a snap point to the center of the NMOS drain pin that's just above me there. So I'm going to click in at that point, and I'll zoom in here so we can see it a little better. As soon as I enter into this pin, it changes, as you can see, it's changing the width a little bit, and it's changing the line type down to metal 1. And I'll double click to finish that off. So I didn't have to manually change any of the widths of the line types, but you can see in the 3D view that it's automatically added or automatically changed those widths and line types so that I come into the pin very clean there. So that was very easy to do without much manual work. I was able to get a real clean connection into both these pins. And of course, this iNet PIA I can stretch out to make it a little nicer, so I get a nice via stack there. And of course, the same is true here. If I come into this resistor, say I come in this way, or if I want to come in from the other side, so you can see whatever edge you come into the pin matters. So I'll either get a skinny connection this way or a wide connection this way. And that completes a demo of some of the new features for Analog Office 2008.